Daqui do Nordeste norte-americano, damos as boas-vindas aos senhores participantes deste 8º dia D da Fazenda Carnaúba, em Taperoá, Paraíba, Brasil. Nós estamos transmitindo ao vivo da Fazenda Heavenly Hooves, aqui na cidade de Schenectady, no estado de Nova York, que não fica nada perto da cidade de Nova York. Eu vou apresentar a nossa ilustre convidada daqui a pouquinho, mas antes de mais nada, eu gostaria de comentar que estamos disponíveis pelo WhatsApp. Aqui está o telefone, 508-736-4920, para os senhores tirarem qualquer dúvidas ou manter contato futuramente. E dando alguns exemplos agora das pessoas que vão participar desse painel, além da minha pessoa e da professora que está do meu lado, teremos também a participação do professor Dr. Rivaldo Nunes da Costa, que é presidente da Capri Leite, da Associação de Criadores de Caprinos de Leite do estado de Minas Gerais. Ele terá sua participação em outro segmento depois deste. Agora então, para apresentar a professora doutora Trudy Lombard, que está aqui do meu lado. Ela é a proprietária desta fazenda, que é especializada em caprinos de leite. Ela também é professora na Universidade da Cornell, onde ela leciona e apresenta seminários e, inclusive, o treinamento de juízes para as exposições na área, principalmente de caprinos de leite. Ela também é a diretora da Sociedade de Criadores de Caprinos de Leite da região central do estado de Nova York, e ela é presidente da Associação de Criadores de Caprinos de Leite para o estado de Nova York. E além do mais, ela é uma grande amiga, é uma pessoa muito sensacional. Vocês vão ouvir coisas e comentários com relação principalmente à questão da comercialização Brasil versus Estados Unidos, quanto à questão comparando e contrastando a tributação, subsídios e financiamento agrícola. Para falar um pouquinho mais da minha pessoa, eu sou o professor Dr. Mark Anthony Batista, sou brasileiro-americano, médico-veterinário, zootecnista, presidente da medicalagribusiness.com, que vocês estão vendo a logomarca nas nossas camisas e poderão olhar no site futuramente. E estamos às ordens para quaisquer dúvidas ou prestação de serviços na área de assessoria e consultoria internacional voltado à ciência e saúde humana e animal avançada. Bem, sendo feito a nossa propaganda, vamos ao que interessa, onde eu vou pedir para a professora Trudy, e a partir de agora eu vou começar a conversar com ela em inglês. Ela vai responder as perguntas em inglês, e numa futura edição vamos editar esse vídeo para que haja uma tradução sem que fique cortando as perguntas e as respostas da professora. Então eu vou começar perguntando para a professora, daqui a pouquinho em inglês, para ela falar da pessoa dela, do histórico dela em relação aos criadores de caprinos de leite desse estado, e depois ter seus comentários com relação à questão de financiamento de equipamento agrícola, de tributação e subsídios. Então eu vou falar tudo isso agora em inglês e ela vai responder em inglês, depois iremos para a tradução. Trudy, looking over at the camera, I'll go ahead and ask you then to speak a little bit about yourself, or as much as you'd like, to speak a little bit or as much as you'd like about your property, all of your experiences in regards to the state of New York and dairy, goat breeders, and all of those things that we discussed before we turned on the camera. And feel free to also comment on anything that you think might be of interest to our target audience in relation to taxation, agricultural equipment financing and subsidies as it works not only in the state of New York but in the United States, to your knowledge, and then we will translate this later. So I'll turn over the microphone to you and feel free to talk at your leisure.
Okay, I started with dairy goats when my daughter was young because of the fact that she was allergic to cow's milk, and we put her on goat's milk and she survived very well. She's now going to be 50 years old, so it worked. I've raised alpines, and at one point I also had Nubian goats. I was a 4-H leader, youth leader for over 40 years with Madison County. We moved here to this farm in 2005. Don had designed the barn and built it. We have hot water heat in the floor, as well as the office and the kitchen area. We have farmed and done the hay off our field. We have a little over 21 acres. We're a small hobby farm. In order to qualify for taxation breaks with farm and ag, you need at least 20 acres and you have to make over $10,000 a year to get a discount on your property taxes. Does not help with school taxes though. There are many benefits to being a woman in agriculture versus men because of the fact that you get better tax breaks and you can qualify for more grants. I have not taken advantage of it. Even we were at one point going to be a dairy, but decided that the market just wasn't there, and we weren't willing to do the cheese end of it at this point. And you would have to have such a large farm to be able to survive on that income alone. There are government through Farm Service Association that if you Google their website, you can see some of the things that are offered through the United States as tax incentives for farmers. Right now they are doing COVID because a lot of the farmers have been required to reduce 15% of their production, which meant that they had to sell their cows. There have been, because of COVID, there's also been different things set up that they're giving away gallons of milk, and the local farmers are supplying the milk in order to keep their income coming in. And it's done through different organizations, and it's done in different townships that they can take advantage, and some of the people that are out of work and have a lot of young children can pick up free milk. I've been superintendent for the New York State Dairy Goat Fair, or New York State Fair Dairy Goat Department for a little over 10 years. The fair has been canceled this year due to COVID. I was assistant for the Youth Association and chairman of the Youth Committee for New York State previously for probably 15 years. I've raised dairy goats for over 46 years, and also lost it. Been breeding both French and purebreds and American dairy goats. Our production runs about, averages 10 gallons a goat, and we had a first freshener get high point at the state fair last year doing 12.8 pounds. We have a very heavy milk line that we keep and retain. Our animals are all raised on pasteurized milk because of the CAE virus, caprine arthritic encephalitis, as well as isolated from their dams and raised on bottles. And they're all dehorned. I'm a closed herd because of the fact I can't buy females. I'm on the certified scrapie program. I can purchase males because scrapies is passed in the afterbirth and discharge of an animal, and therefore a male can get it, but it can't transmit it. So I can buy males from different herds, but I cannot buy females unless they've been on the herd. Most of my herd, I've been on the program for close to 9 years, and it takes 12 years. It takes 7 years to be certified, and you have to have so many animals biopsied. We did rectal biopsies for scrapies, With sheep, the OPP, there's a gene that carries it. That test is not available through goats. So therefore, the only thing you can do is when an animal dies, you want me to talk about it?
Sure.
When an animal dies, I'm required to call a USDA veterinarian with the federal government and have them come in and take lymph nodes and brain tissue to test for scabies before I can dispose of the carcass. And that's for any animal over 18 months. And they come in yearly and inspect my herd, check all the tattoos, and I have to record where my animals go and for what purpose they went. Our animals are, most of my herd I did sell out last year. I retained 3 of my older does just because I didn't think they would be able to adjust to a new farm. And I kept one of my heavier young does, the one that was High Point Milker that did 12.8 pounds, in order, because I needed the milk to feed the young stock till they left. And I didn't sell all of my babies last year and still have 3 of them. So they are now dry yearlings, which will be bred for next year.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple things,
Sure.
and I'll say them in Portuguese first, and then, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to say in Portuguese so you'll be thinking about them, and we'll keep rolling. I'll ask you 2 things, but then I'll translate them, and then you can answer the questions. One is in relation to some products that you actually make here. We're looking at probably incentivizing, motivating the rural producers in the state of Paraíba, in the northeastern part of Brazil, to get involved with putting their product line in this country. And you actually have a couple of great ideas of things that you have put on the market, that you have produced. So I'll go ahead and say that in Portuguese now, while you're thinking about how you're going to answer that question. A professora Trudy tem uma linha de produtos que ela gostaria de comentar, que seriam ideias interessantes para que os senhores produtores da região nordeste, nordestina brasileira, e na Paraíba ou em qualquer outro lugar, que tenham produção de caprinos e tenham a produção leiteira de caprinos de leite. Ela vai comentar agora sobre 2 ou 3 produtos que ela mesma produz e vende muito bem. São algumas ideias que a gente poderia discutir futuramente de como é que poderia gerar renda para os produtores rurais brasileiros vendendo seus produtos neste país. Então agora eu vou deixar ela responder a pergunta em inglês e eventualmente a gente vai traduzir isso no próximo segmento. Go ahead with that answer.
Okay. I started out doing goat soap. It's my own recipe, and it's all natural. And some of it is done with fragrance oils, but the majority is done with essential oils. So it's very good for your skin. I mean, we use things like we use honey in the soap and the lotions, some of the lotions, and then we some of them are scented and some of them are not. But it's a natural way. It doesn't have chemicals in it, so that it's better for your skin. It's more moisturizing because it does have a high quantity of milk in it. One batch of soap has 6 cups of milk, and it makes about 32 bars. And we sell it at different craft shows and gift baskets and stuff throughout the year. We also do a lotion, and the lotion does have this is made with raw milk, and you freeze the milk before you make it. This is made with pasteurized milk. And we do use a preservative so that you don't have to refrigerate it with the milk being in it. But this also has, there is one that's called honey milk that we put honey in it. Otherwise we use essential or fragrance oils in it. And it's got things like coconut oil, avocado oil, that it's extremely moisturizing, but it's not greasy for your skin. I've sold it pretty close to all over the United States. There is a big company here in New York State. It's Beekman Brothers, and they've been selling soaps and lotions for quite a while. They have different companies that make it for them.
Trudy, are you able to give us numbers, figures, dollar amounts, whatever, in relation to your product line? I'll say that in Portuguese in a second. And also in relation to taxation, how does New York State tax interface with you and all of that kind of thing?
Yeah.
So if you could be thinking about that. Eu estou pedindo para a professora Trudy ter seus comentários agora com relação a preço, a fatos em termos de dólares. Como é que a questão toda da tributação funciona, principalmente a nível do estado de Nova York? Okay, go ahead with that answer.
Okay, yeah, the soaps sell for $5, and that we include tax in it, and the lotions are $7. And they're 4-ounce bottles, and the soaps are approximately between 3 and 4 ounces, depending on the density of it. The lotions, I think, are the more popular of the products, but yet I have people that swear by the soaps, especially people that seem to have either drier skin or eczema. Seems to keep that somewhat under control.
And finally, I'll ask you one more question, and then I'll translate that, and you can give your answer, then we'll pretty much wrap up this segment. The question will be in regards to the Carnoba farm. And you are, of course, invited to visit with us and our team that will be going in 2021, whether we go in March or whether we're there a year from now for the 9th D-Day is something to talk about. But the question for you, Professor Trudy, is what is it that you suppose you would be interested in observing while you're on site? What kinds of questions do you foresee that you might have for folks over there, not only on the farm, but in that general region of Brazil? And finally, if you were to receive visitors from over there, what do you anticipate might be their questions? So basically, I'm asking you to compare and contrast, even without having specific personal experience on site in Brazil. What do you sort of imagine or anticipate? So I'll say that in